Welcome to the 60 Plus podcast.
I'm Janet.
And I'm Joe. How are you today, Janet?
I'm good. How are you? I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Thank you, Janet. Someday she'll say I'm well.
I know. My grammar's so bad.
It will be the happiest episode of 60
Of your
Plus.
life.
Well.
Okay.
All right. What are we talking about today, Janet?
So, we started this inspiration series and we had Tim and Judy
You had an
with
inspiration. You were inspired.
I had an inspiration to have this inspiration, but Tim and Judy from Crow Follow were my inspiration. And we had such a great time talking to them, and we were just talking and talking and talking. So we actually decided to have them back for like a part 2 of our conversation. And so we're here with them again today.
So if you haven't heard part 1 of this,
go back an episode.
And listen to the last episode.
And you're going to hear how they got started in their rock and roll band, and they are amazing. And so here we are again. And going to do a little more talking with them.
All right. Welcome back, Tim and Judy.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Isn't it? You look all refreshed after that break. Yeah. All right. So let's just continue our conversation that we're having. And like I said, if listeners haven't heard the first part of this episode, I recommend you go back and listen to that now and then come back to this episode. Yeah.
The thing about that song was basically it was written in about 5 minutes. Songs are really strange, but a lot of times it's the ones that come out the fastest. They're the ones that are like they're fully formed and boom, and there they are. And other ones, it takes a little while to see where all the pieces are. My vision of writing, there's a couple of them, but one of my analogies for writing is you pick up things on the street or just overheard in a club or whatever. You hear a line, you go, oh, it like kind of twists you away. And then you sort of go, well, who said that? It becomes a fictional being. Who said that? And who are they? Why did they say it? And what was their mood when it was happening? Where were they? And what happened next? And then the story evolves, and it's the character in the song that basically tells you what the story of the song is. I find myself often like, yes, I'm a songwriter, but I'm often a transcriber of vibes that are coming from characters that live in the ether. Or you'll find a piece of something, you'll find a riff or something, and it's like a dinosaur bone in the desert. And you got to brush the sand away and see if there's another dinosaur bone connected to it. And eventually you find all the bones, and then the skeleton tells you how it wants to walk, how it dances, and what it is.
What keeps you motivated to continue making music at this stage in your life? Tim,
everybody.
Apparently, that's very funny because Tim is
definitely in the 60 plus audience.
Yep.
And they're married for 22 years.
20 years.
20 years. Woohoo! And they make incredible music together. And that's, again, the inspiration here. So now, what keeps you motivated?
I started just smiling and laughing when you heard it because it was like, what else am I going to do? I mean,
that's what Willie Nelson said.
It is what Willie
for
Nelson
me.
Yeah.
It's not a...
Didn't he say, like, I can only play so much golf or something like that?
No, yeah. He's like, I play. What are you going to do in your retirement?
I've heard he does that. That's
for me. It's not the hard. There is no hard part to getting inspiration to do it. For me, the hard part is pulling away from it enough to make sure that the other aspects of my life are not shriveling away.
Right.
Because I'll be honest, I'm pretty obsessed with it. I mean, I just really enjoy it, and I can't go for more than 24 hours without a guitar in my hand. I start getting very, very twitchy, even to the point where we just went on our 20th anniversary.
Yay.
We took a trip to New York City, which was wonderful.
We like New York. We were both born there. He grew up there.
I took my 3/4 size Fender Strat and I unbolted the neck and I folded it up and I stuffed it in my carry-on so that when we got to the hotel, I could bolt it back together, and I just had something to play on
Wow.
while we were there.
What's your songwriting process like? Yeah, I mean, do you sit down at a desk and
A lot of times a line will come to me or it'll come back to me from something I've heard somebody said in a coffee shop or whatever.
Right.
And then I'll be either walking down on the marsh and the rhythm of the walking sort of like provides a beat background.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start just making, I have this gift for making up lyrics, making up rhymes. It just happens all the time.
Right.
A lot of times it happens in the kitchen. And we have a saying, we have a saying, dude, and this was like, before we did this, we lose a lot of songs this way, but now Judith has this saying, and when I start making things up in the kitchen, well, she's making coffee and I'm kind of like dancing around being silly, making up lyrics, and she just looks at me, she goes, "Wid," right?
Wid.
Right.
Like a little
Which
bird.
is write it down. That's the trick, is to catch them when they come out and write them down. And then, so we have
They're
these,
very fleeting.
they're like those,
And you always think, oh, I'll remember that. That's
we have
I'll
these
remember it.
long, like sticky shopping list pads
oh, I know the ones you're talking about. Yeah.
that are like magnetized to the refrigerator, and I'll go blah blah blah, and she'll go "wid," and I'll turn around and I'll just scribble it down, and
Yeah,
that's a lot of them start that
You have
way.
a system. You have a
A
system.
lot of them start.
Yeah.
So you go with the lyrics first, and then you
Not
write the
always.
Okay.
No, because sometimes just be goofing around on the guitar, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's a vamp," and then just kind of grooving on the vamp, and then what it's about just comes out. It's a lot like the magic 8 ball.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a fortune unless you roll it around and let that inner ball spin around, and then you got to be patient and hold it so the inner ball can float up and the words are revealed. So sometimes you just, it's not like, oh, I'm going to write a song. It's like, pick up the guitar, start making noise, and see what comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. And
That's my
Judy,
process.
you write too, right?
At this point, we're writing about half and half in the band, and we also write together a little.
Mhm.
More recently, but we also we just we both write, and sometimes when we write, they go together, and sometimes one of us will come with something fully written to the band or to each other. But yeah, I write. I think almost all of my songs start as a line that usually comes with it a melody. Like the words and the melody often come together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have the words and the melody, and then I'll have to go back and figure out what the chords are.
Yeah. So which
don't
one of
know.
your songs that you're talking about there that we could maybe play a clip of?
Oh, you could play Ride of Our Lives.
What advice would you give to younger musicians to inspire them?
Oh, you're doing better than you think.
Absolutely.
We both work volunteering at a place called Zoomix.
Okay.
Shout out to Zoomix, the most amazing music education place I've ever had anything to do with in East Boston.
Okay.
Remarkable place. They offer all kinds of musical programming. But Tim has been volunteering for a long time for a program called Rock Ed.
Okay.
And then I started doing it maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So we go in and we help kids figure out how to be in a rock band.
Oh,
Some
wow.
of them have never held a guitar. Some of them, and I've worked with kids most of my adult life.
Mhm.
As a school social worker,
Okay.
and I taught art a little bit and this and that. Inspiring kids is so it's just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I think that the advice you said, you're doing better than you think you are. I don't think that just applies to young musicians, though.
True.
I think it can be applied to just anybody that's younger.
Or older.
I had a friend back when I was in college, and I didn't start playing guitar until I was 25.
Right.
And then somehow I got this message that I could not play a stringed instrument because I played trumpet. So it was like I had to stay in my lane, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But then the drive to write songs and the fact that my songwriting accomplice bailed on me, I had to do it. I just had to do it in order to be able to accomplish my goals.
Right.
Is that because you couldn't play trumpet and sing at the same time?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Very hard
Exactly.
to do.
I should have picked up bagpipes. I could. You can get away with it with that.
Well, you know, B.B. King can't sing and play the guitar at the same time. If you've ever watched him or listened to him, he never sings and plays at the same time. He can't do both at the same time, he says.
That's
It's
interesting.
really hard sometimes.
It's impossible for me.
And
There's one
and-
song we're working on that I cannot seem to get both parts going at
When
the same time, but I'm going to get it.
when
Yeah.
the rhythms oppose each other, it makes it very difficult. But
Yeah.
when I started out playing, in my first punk rock band, What did the more at the beginning, I was like, I know I want to do this. I've seen, advice to young people: find role models
Mhm.
and find role models that are like the inspiration of where you want to be in 10 years.
Okay.
And also find role models who are not that far ahead of you. Follow the ones that are close to you and
Okay.
do what they do, see
Mhm.
what they're doing. And little by little, as you learn what they do, then you can look for another role model that's a little bit farther along the way. But don't defeat yourself by comparing yourself to the top of the pyramid.
Right.
Compare yourself.
Rock star.
Comparing is not really useful, but to learn from and surround yourself with peers that want to do what you want to do, that
Mhm.
want to succeed at what you want to succeed at.
Mhm.
But make sure that you have some mentors that are way above you and some mentors that are close to your peer level.
Mm.
Because you learn a lot from people that are making mistakes 2 or 3 levels above you rather than making mistakes 10 or 20 levels above you.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, and all that said, it's not quite that linear either. Like
No.
people have different kinds of gifts that they bring to music and art, and you might admire one band for their theoretical competence, and another one for their artistry, and another
Mhm.
for their
Emotional intensity.
costumes.
For
You know, it could be-
emotional intensity. Yeah, right.
Yeah, everybody's bringing different things. But I would say to young kids, the minute you're of age, start going out and seeing local bands, because that's who you're going to be. No matter what you end up someday, that's where you're going to start.
Mhm.
So go out and see local music as much as you possibly can. I would add that for everybody.
I was
like,
gonna say, I love
There's
going.
nothing
local
like it.
music.
Yeah,
You'd be
it's so much
astonished
fun.
by the kinds of bands that are playing out right now. The Boston area right now is on fire with incredible local music, just remarkable art and music being made.
Mhm.
And all you have to do is show up
There's no reason not to
and
do
pay a
it.
little.
There's
Yeah.
no reason.
Not that much.
There's no reason not to do it.
Right.
There's no whatever you think is a reason not to do it is not.
I mean,
I've
but
seen one-armed drummers. In my own life, I've cut off part of my index finger on my fingering hand. I've had
Wow.
he lost an argument with a
crippling-
table saw.
I've had
Oh.
crippling carpal tunnel. I got surgery to fix it.
Mhm.
And whatever disabilities or whatever reasons you can think of why you can't do, you can find some other way to do it. There's
Right.
always another way. You can learn if you switch from guitar to keyboard, or you can just choose to sing,
Trumpet to guitar.
or from there's always a way to shift.
Plays trumpet.
There's always a way to shift.
Yeah.
And there's always new avenues that you could kind of pivot if you're frustrated with the people that you're working with. Quit the band and start another one. There's never a reason why not to do what you
I
want.
love that as like a metaphor for life in general. You know?
Absolutely.
Certainly with art, there's always a way.
Mhm.
If you want to be creative, there's always a way to create. Laurie Anderson told a beautiful story about Lou Reed as he was dying. His hands were doing Tai Chi and creating these little tiny micro postures. Like he was creating right up until the last moments of life.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't you? There's always a way. I always figure when I finally can't haul gear around and they get sick of carrying my gear around for me, or they can't do it anymore.
Goodness, you have people to do that.
I'll just do what I did for a long time when I wasn't making music and draw, make sculptures, do little art. And if I can't do that anymore, then I can probably still write.
Yeah.
If I can't do that anymore, I guess I'll just think.
Yeah, or just record it into audio,
A
right?
voice, yes. There's always a way.
There's always a way, yeah.
Looking forward, are there any projects or goals that you still want to accomplish in your music career?
Oh, yes.
Well, tell us.
Well, the next album.
So you're working on a new album. Yeah.
Going back in the studio in September 26th or 27th. Yeah. We're going in the studio and we're going to try to do 3 more, I think. And then we'll have 6. And then we'll probably do another 3 and call it an album.
Grab it another session. One of my goals is I really like to reach more people live with our music. So my goal this year is to figure out how to book us into festivals.
Okay.
I just took a seminar online about that. The thing is that you can always educate yourself. I always thought it was like everybody learned everything through mental telepathy. And if they were doing something that I wanted to do, it was because they knew something I didn't know, but I didn't know how to learn what they knew and I didn't know. And one of the great liberations of getting older is that I'm becoming less fearful of asking people how they did what they did that I would like to do, and sharing information. And that's one of the wonderful things about the Boston music scene is that people are very generous with their knowledge, their understanding, and their skills. And it goes back and forth. You help other people and then they will help you. It's almost a spiritual thing of people wanting to see music in general succeed in town. So they will take actions to help other people so that the whole scene rises and is able to manifest.
Wonderful.
Another metaphor for life.
Right.
Right? It's abundance. There's enough to go around.
It's a win-win. It's always a win-win.
Yep.
Always good to share information. I think competition is really
that's an icky concept.
It's not interesting.
Oh no, when it comes to creativity.
I think our goals are to play larger venues if possible, the right kind of groovy larger venues.
Right.
I don't want to. I'm not that interested in diving into like corporate whatever this and that, but I would love to play some nice grungy festivals of one sort or another, and also to get farther out of town as best as we can.
You talked about your punk days and some of the old stuff. Is there a particular era or album in your career that you look back on most, and why is that?
I mean, as far as other artists inspiring?
One album, wow.
There is one band that continually inspires me, and that is the band Garbage with Shirley Manson. Her songs are like movies. They're amazing, and the production values of the band are really high. Very strange sounds, and make them work in their songs. The songs are pure rock. So it would be VS 2.0, that their album VS 2.0, which is one of their earlier albums. But that's the one that really, every time I hear that album, it makes me want to write more. So,
what about you, Judy?
Oh, there are so many. I'm trying to.
You only get one.
No, this is very difficult for me. I have a hard time. Tim always tells me it's not the last sandwich you'll ever eat. Never decide what sandwich.
I realize whatever your answer is today, it would probably be different tomorrow.
Oh, that's quite true. I think I'm going to go with Metal by Pink Floyd.
I love Pink Floyd.
I've been thinking about that album recently, and that album blew my head open. I was 15 when I heard it. And it was one of a number of albums that I could name that in their time changed everything when I heard them.
Yeah.
That's an early one.
Do you have one, Janet?
Well, I love Pink Floyd. I mean, I'm
You
on
can't
the
say Pink
spot
Floyd.
here. I
That's-
know. Well, Dark Side of the Moon is like an amazing album, and I love.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to over and over and over again.
For me, it's Talking Head 77.
Okay.
I just love that.
Right on.
You said there was one that blew your head open.
Yeah.
That was it for me.
After you asked who influenced us, I started running all these other names that I didn't mention, and David Byrne was one of them.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
I love David Byrne as an artist. I just think he's a remarkable artist.
There's been a real resurgence of the film Stop
Mhm.
Making Sense lately.
Mhm.
It's like 40
Yeah.
years old now. It's
Because it had a big anniversary and they made a really cute ad
Yeah.
yeah, but
with him going to pick up his big suit at the dry cleaners.
exactly. Yeah,
And I
But the-
think it
There he
just
is.
made the list of the best movies to watch on Netflix.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, David Byrne is something special.
We saw American Utopia when it was at the ART.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't even realize how special I was getting to, how special what I was getting to see was.
Mhm.
It was amazing. And then it went to Broadway.
Right. Yeah. A lot of shows at ART go to Broadway.
they-
which is
ART is the American Repertory Theater.
yeah,
Correct,
in
yes, sorry.
Cambridge. Yeah.
David Byrne also wrote a book called How Music Works.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I've only gotten through the first 20 or 30 pages in it, and it already like changed the way that I think about how music is made.
Wow.
He's an amazing thinker, as well as all the art that he makes.
Mhm.
His ideas are very incisive and they paradigm changing, I would say.
One of my great music regrets is that I didn't see them live when I had the chance to.
Yeah, I never saw them eitver. I wish I had.
I've seen
That
Tom
would've been
Tom Club,
great.
which has 2 or 3 of the members of Talking Heads,
Wow.
but no, never saw Talking Heads.
Well, that was part of what was cool about seeing American Utopia was that I got to see David Byrne
Mhm.
perform in person because
Yeah.
he was in the show then, and yeah, it was great.
I think we've got to wrap up.
Okay,
Part
Unless we
2.
go to part 3.
No.
We could talk to you guys all day long. It's
Good.
been really great. We really enjoyed having you
I
here.
hope you had. I hope you got answers to the questions you
All
wanted
the
the
questions
most.
that we
We
have,
did.
yes.
We did. Where can people hear your music?
Well, they can hear us on the internet. We're all over the internet.
Okay.
We have music on
Visuals, Spotify,
Spotify.
Bandcamp,
Amazon,
Spotify,
Apple.
any of the streamers. They
Yeah.
can just Google up
Follow.
Linktree.
Find us there. You'll see links to videos, to recordings, to streaming services, everything.
Very
Great.
good. We'll put it in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Are you inspired, Janet?
I am. Truly. Maybe I'll pick up that guitar after all.
Thanks
It won't bite you.
Thank you so much for having us. We
You're
really
more-
Oh,
appreciate
you're more
thanks
than
for
welcome.
being
This
here.
has been a lot
So
of fun.
much. You guys are lovely.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. You are too. All right. That's it for this week's and last week's episode
Yes.
of the 60 Plus podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.